Immigration continues to be a top issue for voters. So let's dive right into there. I've been so lucky. I've talked to everyone from city council members to senators, every leader in between, Democrats and Republicans. One thing that they can agree on is there is a humanitarian crisis at the southern border. Now, the ways to fix that, obviously, the solutions that are proposed differ greatly. So when you say secure the border, what is your solution that comes to mind?
It's a border wall. We're almost there. And Mitt Romney didn't support President Trump back when he was first in his first years in office. When he had the opportunity, I think it's another $5 billion or so that will secure the border. Why not do that now instead of sending $100 billion to Ukraine? Let's finish our border, secure our borders, and have a much more orderly process by which people can come across. I mean, as you indicated, it is a humanitarian issue. It's a crisis going on right now. And it's because the cartels have really taken over and taken control of the border. And they are exploiting people. We are enriching these some of the worst actors on the planet in these Mexican cartels. Every person they're bringing across, they're end up getting thousands and thousands of dollars from these people. They effectively have some type of dollar amount tied to each person that comes across. And so you have that trafficking that's going on. There's all types of sexual assault and other just horrific behavior. That's not to mention the drugs that are pouring across the border and killing tens of thousands of Americans every single year. I mean, this is an invasion and it is a humanitarian crisis. And the compassionate, humane thing to do, let's seal that border off, make sure that we have ports of entry for sure, but that is much more orderly. We need that. We need the Remain in Mexico policy. We also need to have E-Verify and really pursue that, because so many people that are coming here illegally that end up working are flat out stealing security numbers of our kids and other citizens in order to work. And so we need to just enforce the laws that we have. And I think that will stop the magnet that is attracting so many people here that are disrespecting our laws and not following the process that needs to be followed to obtain citizenship here in our country.
When Trump was president, he did propose a border wall. Part of the border wall was built. It was a lightning rod issue, as you know. But realistically, do you think that's an idea that A, Democrats can get behind, and B, you're proposing that as well? Will that ever get done?
Well, I think it definitely should be. I think this is an issue that 70-80% of Americans, I think, agree on. I was just touring the southern part of our state, and I spoke to an individual that owns a restaurant, and he's actually married an immigrant here from Mexico. And he said repeatedly that their whole family agrees that that wall needs to be built, and that's the only thing that's really going to give us that type of operational control of the border and prevent cartels from making the money that they're making right now on all of the trafficking that's going on. It's something that needs to happen. We can't, I just don't see any other way. I don't know why a wall is so controversial, because it clearly works, and it's going to allow us to actually control the flow of migration into our country.
According to a recent Newsweek poll, the top three issues facing voters as we creep up to the 2024 election, the third one was immigration, but the top two are the economy and healthcare. How would you address these key issues?
Yeah, well, it's unfortunately this Biden administration has really weakened our economy. We used to have energy independence, and sadly, they have shut down so much activity with respect to the oil and gas industry. I mean, I'm one who understands this issue, having been on the board of directors of a company that was publicly traded in the energy space. We need to have, and we should have, energy independence as a country. We used to have $2 a gallon gasoline. We have enough resources in our own country to be energy independent. We did it under President Trump. That is a number one issue. I think that we can pursue policies that can open up federal lands and just get out of the way of of the energy industry and actually help them secure our energy independence once again, or reestablish that. That's where we need to be. And that will have all types of spillover effects in the economy when we have low energy and we have energy independence. We're not enriching nations that really don't like us and want to seek us harm. We have that capability to do that. So on the economy front, we should do that. And I think one of the things that I'm a huge supporter of is the REINS Act, REINS. And that's something Senator Mike Lee has been preaching for a while, is that we need to get Congress needs to stop abdicating its responsibility to unelected bureaucrats. We have hundreds of federal agencies that are promulgating and writing thousands and thousands of rules that we all have to live under, yet they're not accountable because they're unelected. And this process has got to stop. It's a huge drag on the economy. I think it's about $4 trillion, a drag on the economy, the regulatory framework and all the regulations that are imposed on business. It's out of control. I think the average cost per employee, or to the employer per employee, is about $20,000 to come into compliance with everything. I've been a business owner. I've been with a public company, and I know the impact on business. I travel the state, and I hear from many folks that say, look, I just think I'm too small to succeed. You've heard of too big to fail. What about too small to succeed? I can't afford the armies of accountants and attorneys. So at my website, I say, look, I'm not just going to take a scalpel to regulation, slight regulatory reform. We need a chainsaw. We need complete regulatory reform. The REINS Act, I think, is a step in the right direction. And that, I think, will unshackle businesses and allow us, this economy rather, to really, really take off. And I just want to say, I'm someone who really understands that, who has an MBA, who's operated businesses. And in my own community, I actually eliminated the business license fee. I just cut it out altogether. And we signaled so much support for our business community, because I understand that we need to lower regulations. We need to get government out of the way, allow businesses to compete in a free market and provide the services that they do. They can do that much better than any government can. And that really is what bolsters our economy and allows us to flourish.
The economy has been a top issue for voters for over a year now, and you have a unique business background. You operated a few small businesses, so I'm curious, we're Forbes. What do you think is the number one thing needed in this country today to spur entrepreneurship?
Well, I love entrepreneurship. I know it accounts for 80% of all business, all employment here in the United States. It's what really drives our innovation, and I think that's the American dream. People want to own a business. They want that type of control over their future and their outlook. It provides so much wealth to individuals. It's the greatest way to grow wealth, to start a business and pursue that. And so I think one of the biggest things that we can do to help entrepreneurs is really what I was talking about before with respect to regulatory reform. I mean, we really have to get out of the way of business, and government cannot always be imposing its will and writing regulation after regulation that imposes and creates such a hard environment for business to succeed and to flourish. Government has to understand that we don't create jobs. We need to actually help foster an environment that will allow business to succeed, and that is when our country succeeds, when we are economically strong. So I think it really comes down to regulatory reform and really taxes, right? And ensuring that we have a low tax environment where businesses can really succeed. And those are the two biggest things that I want to be able to do and support. One of the committees, I'm asked often, what committees would you like to serve on in the Senate? And small business and entrepreneurship is definitely one of those. Finance, small business entrepreneurship, and also public lands, working with our natural resources and public lands, because that's a unique need in the state of Utah as well, where 2/3 of our land is actually owned or controlled by the federal government.